A man arrives in a tribe where his welcome is given in the form of a girl. In this tribe, there was a tradition that to show hospitality, they would leave one of their tribal girls with the guest for a few nights. But when the two end up falling in love while living together and they want to get married, the tribe commits a certain crime against them. Let's see what happens in the story. The movie opens in the 1930s. At that time, the British government had introduced a new rule. If someone wanted a government job, they had to learn a different language. For this, they would send their people to small villages where they could live and learn the language so they could later exert control over the tribal population. Because of this government job requirement, a man named John is sent to a remote Malaysian village called Sarawak. The village was extremely underdeveloped, but it was here that John's life was about to change forever. John travels there by boat. Upon arriving, he waits for someone to come pick him up, and soon he spots a tribesman named Nubanga. Nubanga knows both the local language and a little bit of English. Nubanga takes him to the village, where John meets the governor named Henry. Henry lived there and worked for the British government, serving as a caretaker for incoming British visitors. Henry asks John why he chose this place when he had the option to go somewhere else. John replies that his father had once worked here, and he wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. Henry then takes John in a jeep to show him around the village. John explains that his father had wanted the tribal people to receive a proper education, but during the war, his father was killed. Now John has come to fulfill his father's dream no matter what. Henry didn't know too much about John, but from their conversation, he understood that John was an educated man. Driving through the forest, they eventually reach a house deep in the jungle. Henry tells John that tomorrow they will go meet the villagers so he can explain his plans to them. He will also need to live among them to learn their language so that he can help them in every possible way. The next day, Nubanga takes John by boat to meet the villagers. After traveling some distance, Nubanga stops the boat at the edge of the village and takes him to meet the tribal chief. There, they welcome John. All the tribespeople come to meet him. The chief's name is Malacca, and he is the father of a girl named Balansay. Then, to welcome their guest, a beautiful woman named Selma comes forward. She offers John some liquor, but John refuses, saying he doesn't drink. Nubanga then explains that if he refuses, it will upset the people. John finally drinks it. When John looks at Selma, he finds her incredibly beautiful. John had developed a bit of love at first sight for Selma. Now, the villagers began their cultural program, where some girls were dancing, Selma being one of them. John kept looking only at her because he had really taken a liking to her. After the dance ended, the locals asked John to dance too, but he felt too shy to dance in front of everyone, so instead, he recited an English poem, but the people didn't understand it and didn't enjoy it either. Wanting to make them laugh, John decided to dance with Nubanga, doing a romantic British-style dance with him. Seeing this, everyone burst out laughing. When the dance ended, John stepped down and sat among the people. Later that night, when everyone was going to sleep, John began feeling nauseous and dizzy from drinking. From a short distance away, he saw a few people carrying a severed head. This struck him as extremely strange. The next day, Henry came to John. John asked him, "What exactly am I supposed to do here? I have no idea what's going on." Henry told him, "When the time comes, your work will be explained to you, but nearby there's a mining operation where some Chinese laborers are working. They're being treated very badly. The local tribes are harassing them. You'll need to stay away from them." Just then, Selma arrived. After she left, Henry explained to John that this girl would now stay with him like a wife and help teach him her language. He could do whatever he wanted with her. John was shocked at this statement. Selma had come with a man who began explaining their traditions to John, but John couldn't understand their language. Henry clarified, here, whenever a European guest arrives, the locals gift him a beautiful woman to be his wife during his stay. John was stunned. He couldn't understand such a rule. At first, he thought Selma's people were forcing her to stay with him, so he spoke to her about it. But Selma said she had no problem with it. She wanted to be his wife for as long as he stayed there. Henry then told him that this custom was called the sleeping distonori. Selma added that her mother was the same way. Her father was an Englishman, which is why she looked the way she did. She wanted to stay with John because she wanted to improve her English. John agreed to let Selma stay with him, but made it clear he would teach her his language and never be romantic with her. Henry became angry at this, and even Selma didn't like it, but in the end, she accepted John's condition. John and Selma were given an old house to live in. There was also another man assigned to be John's servant, who cooked meals for both of them. That night, while John was having dinner, Selma stood nearby watching him. It seemed like she wanted him to come to her, but John explained that she should go and do her work. He couldn't go to her because that wasn't how things were done in his country. He told her to sleep in the other room while he went to sleep alone. Selma stood there waiting for him for a while. Somehow their first night together passed like that. The next day, Nobanga came over and started teasing John. He handed John a severed monkey's head and said that the previous night there had been a fight with the Chinese workers, and that he had brought this as a gift for him. Everyone standing around started laughing because they knew Nobanga was just joking, but John was startled and disturbed by it. Selma arrived, grabbed the sack, and threw it away. John felt humiliated in front of everyone, so he returned home. There he saw that his cook had brought a young man with him. The cook told John that he had brought a beautiful young man for him, thinking perhaps John would like him. John became furious and said, "Your heads are filled with dung." He then told Selma to leave his house. Selma also got angry and began preparing to go, but once outside, she stopped and didn't actually leave. The next day, John stepped outside and found Selma sitting there. He felt bad and asked her why she hadn't gone back home. The cook then explained to him that she couldn't. If she left, the whole village would be angry with her. John admitted his mistake and told her, "I find you very beautiful and I like you, but sleeping together before marriage is a sin." Selma agreed with his words, though in her heart she had already fallen in love with him. That night, Selma once again tried to get close to John. As they talked, John found himself leaning in toward her, but instead he simply wished her good night and went to sleep. They lay on the same bed, but at opposite sides. Selma told him that in their tribe it was tradition to treat the guest like a husband, and that before marriage he should gain some experience with her. John laughed and said, "No problem, I'll take that class later." Then he asked her why she had chosen him. Selma softly replied, "Because you're a shy kind of man." They talked for a long time, but still, nothing happened between them. The next day, John met Henry's wife, Aggie. Aggie told him that people all around were talking about him, that there must be something wrong with him, and that poor Selma was being judged because he wasn't showing her any affection. But John didn't respond and went home. As time passed, John started getting closer to Selma. That night, Selma began teaching John the names of body parts in her language, and in doing so, she touched him playfully. Slowly, a strange and warm feeling began to grow between them. The love that John had suppressed for so long finally broke free, and they began kissing. John had originally come here for a completely different purpose, but Selma was teaching him how to love. The next day, the two were sitting with some children, playing, when Nobanga showed up and jokingly said that Europeans were useless and that they were stronger than them. John replied, "Do you want to challenge me? You've always lived in the jungle, but I can stay underwater longer than you can." Nobanga accepted the challenge, and the two of them jumped into the water. Time began. After 1 minute, Nobanga came up for air, but John stayed under. Finally, John surfaced and explained that he had been wearing an oxygen mask, which was why he could stay underwater so long. John wanted to show them how advanced Western civilization was. The villagers were amazed, and everyone cheered. Selma was especially delighted and proud of him. Now John and Selma made love every day. One night when John woke up, he saw Selma getting up to leave. John asked her why she was leaving at this hour and what the reason was. Selma explained that in their tribe, if a girl was found sleeping next to a man in the morning, they were forced to marry. That's why she always left during the night, because John didn't want to marry her. After saying this, Selma walked away. The next night, Henry invited John over for dinner at his house, where John met a beautiful woman named Scylla. Scylla was Henry's daughter and had just returned from studying in England. Scylla didn't like the sleeping dictionary tradition and criticized it, saying it was an animal-like rule. Henry replied that the custom was still practiced there, but people should see it as just a task. John, too, was against the sleeping dictionary tradition, but Henry didn't like his opinion. Henry told John that he should just mind his own work. The next day, Selma came to John dressed beautifully and they started kissing. John had truly fallen in love with Selma, but their love was about to face trouble. The following day, Scylla came to John to learn the tribal language and interacted with everyone, but she preferred staying near John. They had long conversations and watched many village activities together. When Selma saw this, she became very angry. She didn't want anyone getting close to John. Then Scylla asked John to take a photo with her. Seeing this scene, Selma got even angrier and told John in her own language to stop all this. But John didn't refuse the beautiful woman. At that moment, they noticed something in the water. Henry, upon seeing it, became angry and said that the Chinese near the mining site were responsible. John said he would go and check what was going on there. He and Selma made a plan to go. Then Henry's wife, Aggie, came to John and told him that Sela had started liking him. She said Sela was well educated and that if he married her, they would build a school for him there so he could educate the local children. John stayed silent and didn't respond. Since Sela was Henry's daughter, Aggie told him to think about it and give an answer before it was too late. John returned home and found Selma furious. He tried to calm her down, apologized, and said he was sorry for not refusing Sela. Selma replied that all men were the same and that she had done everything for him, asking if she wasn't enough to make him happy. Hearing this, John became angry and left. The next day, they set out for the site of the earlier incident to find out what was happening there. As they approached the village, they saw that an epidemic had broken out. People were dying one after another. It felt very strange to them, and while they were investigating, just then, a man attacked John, but John managed to escape. Along with Nubanga, he chased the man, and they eventually reached a place where they saw many outsiders mining, extracting silver from the area. When John returned, he found Selma sick. He remembered that the last thing Selma had eaten was rice. Soon, other tribespeople arrived and were about to attack them, but Selma explained in her language that they had come to help. John told them that the rice they were eating contained slow poison. The villagers explained that the rice had been given to them by the outsiders, which meant the outsiders were trying to kill the villagers with poisoned rice so they could take over their settlement. John urged the villagers to attack the outsiders. The tribespeople then launched an assault on the Europeans, killed them all, and returned to thank John. They gave John and Selma a bracelet. For the first time, John told Selma, "I love you," and said he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. Selma, overjoyed, said she wanted the same. The next morning, John went to Henry and told him he wanted to live with Selma and marry her. Henry became furious, saying it went against their culture, something that had never happened before. He warned that if people learned about their marriage, they would kill John. Henry then revealed that he had also once had a love story like John's, but the two of them couldn't stay together. John told him it was his own fault for leaving the woman he loved. At that moment, Aggie arrived and overheard the conversation. She began telling John that Selma was just a sleeping dictionary for him, and he should forget her and move on. Henry told John he would return to England, marry his daughter, and then come back the next year to live here. Meanwhile, Selma was speaking with her people, asking if she could marry John. The chief told her, "How can you think such a thing? You will marry my son, Nubanga." Soon after Selma was thrown into a cell, John rushed to her and tried to free her. Selma, heartbroken, told him that she had warned him no one would ever accept their relationship. She begged him to leave, saying she would live her life here, but John still tried to save her. Just then, the tribesmen arrived, with Henry among them. Henry said, "I'm your superior, and you have no choice but to obey me." John, left with no other option, was forced to leave. A year passed. John married Sela, and the two began living together. Sela asked about Selma, and John said that she had married Nobanga. A few months later, the couple returned to the same village for John's work. This was where Selma lived, and where John wanted to educate the children. A school had now been built there, and John was very happy to see it. That night, while everyone was watching a movie, John searched for Selma, his eyes still always looking for her. At night, Sela and John were making love, but Sela got lost in her thoughts. She told John that she would never be able to take Selma's place. John reassured her, saying he was trying his best to love her the same way he had loved Selma. Then Sela began to say something. Later, John took the cook to an officer named Neville. Since the cook would now prepare food for Neville, John noticed that Neville's sleeping dictionary, a woman named Dipok, was injured. This upset John, and he told Neville, "I'm your senior, so treat your sleeping dictionary kindly." Neville replied that if John hadn't married Sela, she would have been his wife by now. Meanwhile, Aggie was advising her daughter that if John didn't love her, she should stop hoping for it. John overheard this conversation and kissed Sela right in front of Aggie. The next day, while working, John saw Selma. She had a baby in her arms, and Nubanga was with her, but the child had blue eyes and fair skin. John instantly knew it was his child. John went to the cook, who confirmed it. The boy was indeed his son, named Mandar. John then made a plan to meet Selma. He told the cook to tell Dipok that he needed her help to see Selma. According to the plan, Selma came to meet John at night, but when she saw him, she started to run, afraid someone might see them together and cause trouble. John stopped her and for the first time saw his child up close, holding him in his arms. The next day, John made a toy for his son. Aggie saw this and became happy, thinking Sila was going to be a mother, but John told her that Sila was not pregnant. The following day, John took the toy to to his child, but Nubonga saw him. That night, Nubonga came to John and injured him. When Henry learned of this, he ordered his men to kill Nubonga. Henry also told John not to go near Selma, revealing that she was his daughter and that he had once loved her mother but had moved on. The next day, Nubonga was to be punished. John tried to have him pardoned, but Nubonga confessed to his crime. John postponed the decision to the next day. That night, Selma came to John, pleading with him to save Nubonga. Meanwhile, Scylla saw John and Selma together. The next day, John announced his decision, sentencing Nubonga to death. That night, Selma went to steal the cell keys, but they were missing. When she reached the cell, she saw that John had already freed Nubonga and given him a gun to escape. John then once again professed his love to Selma, saying they should take their child and go far away. When John returned home, Scylla told him she was pregnant, leaving him troubled again. Elsewhere, Henry found out Nubonga had escaped. Neville told the villagers that he wanted Selma as his sleeping dictionary, and the villagers agreed. That night, Neville tried to romance Selma, but she and the cook knocked him unconscious. Meanwhile, John was writing a letter to Scylla. Scylla saw the note, but said nothing. Selma, on the other hand, was waiting for John for a long time, but he arrived late. She walked toward the river. Henry followed her, intending to stop her, but he felt pity because Selma was his daughter. He gave her a gun. Selma realized Henry was her father, and the two embraced, crying together. Neville then went out looking for John and Selma. John finally found Selma, but Neville arrived, saying he had been waiting for them. He gave them handcuffs and began touching Selma. John attacked Neville, but Neville overpowered him and was about to kill him, when suddenly a gunshot rang out. Selma had fired the shot. The tribespeople then arrived and killed Neville. After this, John stayed with the villagers. He and Selma danced together, marking the end of the story.